Great. Okay, I was worried there for a minute. All right, and we are just missing Amanda. We do have Glenn present as our planning board rep, so, and Anna is at finance.
Right.
So, all right, so I guess we will get started. In accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. The agenda lists all the topics of the meeting and those that are being discussed and anticipated by the chair. This meeting is being held by Zoom virtual only, link provided in the agenda by notice. And with that, I call the meeting to order, and I think it's roughly 6:05
6:04,
p.m.
yeah.
Okay. Roll call vote. Jean?
Here. And yes.
Josie?
Here.
Mary Ray?
Here.
Glenn?
Present.
Do I hear a yes?
Yes.
Glenn
Present.
McLeod, yes, planning board. And Kathy Clark here. Okay. All right. And everybody got the agenda okay?
Mhm.
And everyone got the minutes that I sent out from January? Okay. All right, 6:05, call the meeting to order. Approval of minutes. Does anybody, did everybody review the minutes or have a chance to from January? We didn't have a February meeting.
I'm jumping in right now to do it.
Okay,
Josie.
Josie? Did you have a chance to review it?
Everything looks good.
Okay. Jean?
I'm
Okay,
fine with it.
okay. All right, do we want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Do we need to let
Want
Mary
a few
Ray take a
minutes,
look?
Mary? Yeah, a few minutes to go over it. I actually went back and watched January's meeting today, and I had forgotten a couple of things that we had discussed at the meeting, so it was a good, quick
Mhm.
review. By the way, does this date and time work for everybody typically still?
It's becoming difficult for me,
Okay,
but I think it only will for the next 2 months.
okay.
Then I'm back to having a bigger window on Thursdays.
Okay. Is there a later time, Josie? I mean, 7:00, is that too late for everybody?
I have a prior engagement that runs from 6:30 to 8:30 on Thursdays for
Okay.
the next couple months.
Oh, okay, okay. And I'll check with Anna in terms of the finance committee too. Because I'm not sure. I don't think they usually meet on Thursdays, but I'm not entirely certain. All right, do we want to make a motion to approve the minutes, or you want a few more minutes? Everyone to take a look? Or Mary Ray, Jean?
I'm logging in now, but if you guys don't need me to make the motion, you can go ahead and then I can just take a peek at
Minutes.
it.
Okay.
And then timing, as long as we can stay Zoom through the summer.
Yes,
I'm flexible on day and time for whatever anyone needs
okay.
for.
Does that work for everybody too, the Zoom?
Mhm.
Just seems easier. Okay. All right, why don't I make a motion then, that we approve the minutes from January? Or
Second.
did Jean?
Second.
Okay. All right. Motion approved. Business forum, discussion dates, scope, and participants. I spoke with Chris Riley. I know at our January meeting, we talked about meeting in February. And honestly, by the time I spoke with him, it was the second to third week of February, I think. So it was late in the game, or second week of February, um, because I had been away and was just bombarded with work the beginning of February. So he had said that he thinks a focus on the fall would be better. And speaking with him again more recently in terms of date, he had said initially maybe May to have a business forum. But when I spoke with him earlier, he had said, maybe May to the summer. So I posed this to all of you. I know when we last spoke, we talked about like an afternoon type forum or workshop. And I think it's important to include some of the people that that have had the issues with opening their business. I can think of two right off the top of my head because it's an aspect of working on some of what these hurdles, which is an easy reference to say, have been, so that we just want to be more business friendly. Anybody's thoughts on this? Can you all hear me? I hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm
Any-
just pondering.
Okay. I mean, the hope is really with an outcome of, producing what could be a bylaw for the fall town meeting. That would
Kathy,
be,
sorry, I was muted. I do have thoughts on that if
oh,
you wouldn't
great.
mind.
Yep.
was-
Go ahead.
It's very confusing calling in because you have to like hit 4 different digits. It's awesome.
Oh.
Okay. But would it be, I mean, what I'm envisioning for that is having it in a kind of like a mutual ground, maybe at the library or something, so it feels more like inviting for small businesses. But are you
Yeah.
envisioning having like 5 or 6 businesses that have experienced hurdles in opening up here locally coming and having a chance, sort of like a listening tour type situation?
I am. And you know what,
To-
Josie, I'm glad you brought that up because you're the link to the LBA. So, I mean, you must hear it too from people in terms of business.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it would be good if we could get that many. That would be great because I think he really needs to hear it from everybody. I think it'll be important to have Brian there as well as Chris.
Mm.
So, yeah.
I think in order to get a crowd of, even just 5 or 6 business owners is really hard to coordinate schedules. But I
Right.
found in hosting a lot of LBA events that
Right.
having it at 6:30 in the evening is like the prime time to get businesses. And I know that's late for town employees because that's outside of their scheduled work. But if we can have just one evening of exception, I think that we can get more businesses to come and speak their experiences, which I think is the goal.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, yeah, very much so. I think that's a great idea. I can certainly request of Chris, and he wants a town manager involved too, which I think is great. So absolutely, I will send them an email tonight, so that I don't forget, requesting that, maybe we could do it at the library. As you said, I think it is an inviting atmosphere. It's easier with a larger setting
Mhm.
than trying to squeeze into
Yeah,
say,
they
the
have
conference
lots
room at
of
the Ritter.
chairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Def-
community.
And they have a projector and everything set up if we wanted to just offer
Right.
maybe the land use director, you or whoever, just maybe like 10 minutes to say, here's where we're at, here's what we're looking for, and just kind
Right.
of a visual to get people engaged.
Right. Agree.
I think that's a good spot.
Okay. All right. I'll convey that to them, Josie. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So, in terms of timeline, he initially said May, and then today was like, well, pushing out a little bit. My concern is fall town meeting deadline and just making sure that we have, is it a one-time conversation and then we're able to craft something? I don't know. So if it,
Mm.
you know what I mean? If it can't be all hammered out in one meeting and we're looking at another meeting thereafter, we don't want to get too tight with the fall town meeting timeline because we want to make sure we get on the warrant. So to me, I'm thinking, I mean, sooner is better than later. Is there any chance, Josie, you can poll some of the people you're thinking of?
I can try to, but
Okay.
also what I hear from people is that they don't want to put a personal face on a public complaint for their business because they
Understood.
don't want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I could somehow get anonymous write-ins from people
Okay.
with the trust of the town of Lunenburg that they are legitimate,
Okay. Okay.
that would be very helpful because I do know of some specific companies that don't want to be public complainers
Right.
and don't want that to affect their business, and they're very afraid that
If they speak out.
it will affect. Yeah, it'll affect them negatively.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing, and that's the only concern that I have, and that I would just ask, I guess, the town manager how
Right.
that works with open law and having to disclose name, address, whatever, when you get up to talk.
Right. Right.
Uh,
If they want to just
So that's
forward
the
a
question.
statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that may be a better thing to do.
Hmm.
What do you think, Jean?
No, it was just a interesting, caveat for this now. And like you said, Josie, that normally you have to give your full,
Name.
the full credentials.
Yeah.
So that could be off-putting, definitely.
Yeah.
I can find a few that would be willing to share, but I think the ones that would have the most impact towards change
Right.
have things very negative to say.
Okay.
And it would be great to be able to submit an anonymous complaint in that setting.
So, well, here's the thought. What if we had a survey that was put out where they could reply, not just with like a choice, but with to be able to reply with a paragraph of what their biggest issue was? I mean, going back to when we first organized, it was something I think that we looked at or talked about in the beginning. Issues that businesses might have. So I don't know. Would that be something that would, you think people would be receptive through the LBA about, giving information via that way?
We did do that. Didn't Adam put it together for us? It was like Survey Monkey or something.
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I thought it did have a good participation, right? Didn't
Rate.
a lot of people did do it?
Right.
And it was
Right.
decent feedback.
Right. So do you recall, Mary Ray, in terms of the feedback? I mean, I wonder if there's any record of that we can go back to and reference.
I would think so. I just don't know whose account it was for the Survey Monkey. I don't know if it was his or if it was the town's
The
or how
town.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe Logan can take a look at that and see.
I do have some quick, kind of like a resource. Can you hear me okay again? I'm
Yep.
not sure
Yes.
if I'm muted or not.
Yep.
Okay. Somebody had told me that Microsoft has a tool where you can put in all of your, maybe it's not Microsoft. I'll have to look at my notes, but I'm wondering if we can put in all of our minutes into this tool, and it's free and it uses AI, but it turns it into like a search engine where all of our minutes, we can just type in whatever topic we want to look up and it just brings it to the top. But I think
Hmm.
if we were able to implement that, that would help us a lot, because we do go pretty far without having meetings, and I forget, and I know people's schedules are busy, but I think it would really help us to be more efficient in trying to recall.
Yeah, from previous meetings, you mean?
Yeah, rather than having to manually go in and pull up a document and read through and.
Right. Yeah, I get it. I go back to, and I think I referenced previously, like Google, being able to have a Google Drive where we can store things and easily access. And I think where the Board of Selectmen already have that. Does planning have that, Glenn? Did they use a Google Drive?
We're using the SharePoint.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what we use at work too.
okay. How is that different?
I mean, it's a Microsoft
Oh, it is. Okay,
based. So then you could use Copilot, which is an AI,
okay,
you know, to
okay.
do the format and actually do the minutes and that kind of stuff
Oh,
as
wow.
well. Yeah.
Huh. AI is
So
taking over the
it would be
world.
Yeah, maybe it would be beneficial for us to have like a in-person meeting at some point with the IT to kind of get like trained on
Yeah.
the tools that are available to us through the town.
Right,
Because I think it would make all of us more efficient.
that's
It
true.
sounds like they already, and that's like a free resource to us.
True.
But it would be nice to be fully trained on what's available.
Who is in charge of IT right now?
I think they put a bid out. I think they're
Okay.
changing companies. I'm not sure who
Okay,
their IT was for.
I think they're sticking with them.
That's the company.
they are sticking with them? Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, maybe we can put a request in then. As you said, Josie, I think that's a good idea in terms of being able to find out, you know, to have that ability, I think would be a big help.
Logan from the planning would be a good connection. He's working through those issues now, and I think he's doing a pretty good job with it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll check with Logan then tomorrow. That's a great idea.
I do want to announce I have about 10 minutes and then I have to hop off.
Okay. All right, let's try to blow through this pretty quickly. So anybody have any more thoughts in terms of business forum and meeting with Chris and timing of it all? Library sounds like a great idea. Anybody's thoughts?
I have a couple of thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it might be getting a little bit the cart before the horse in terms of trying to corral these businesses, working off of Josie's comments of their apprehension. A couple of conversations I have had with the building commissioner as well as the land use director, they're wide open, and obviously this is their field of expertise, and they're very willing
Right.
to work on these issues. So I think maybe a first step is to have a face-to-face, maybe if it's one of the proverbial subcommittee of the EDC, just to have a meeting with, even if it's just Chris, but ideally Chris and the building commissioner.
Okay.
Because I think, because again, the conversations I've had with them, they're completely open to the whole concept. And I think particularly if Josie was there, where she has a more vast
LBA.
connection with LBA, that it's not a court case. We don't need anonymous statements and stuff. We just need
Input.
specific examples, and they're not going to delve into and investigate it. It's going to make perfect sense to them when we go over it. And again, and specifically Chris has said that you don't necessarily have to make bylaw changes, that and I'd love to be part of those meetings, because I have a lot to learn, and just going off their comments, it just seems like there'd be some easy low-hanging fruit to address as well as it would be nice to hear their perspective if there were specific examples that, they may enlighten us as to, the other side of the story as to why these businesses may have had some, struggles. So just instead of everybody being in the room at the same time, meaning those businesses that have
Right.
had issues in us, and so we don't want it to be awkward for them. I think we'd rather have a better grasp of it ourselves, and then meet individually with those businesses and kind of, work through it that way, as opposed to putting anybody, in the spotlight or
position.
to be uncomfortable.
Okay. All right. So then maybe,
Go that just going off of that, if whichever route we decide, I will just kind of throw out there that it will take a long time to plan. It usually takes about 3 months to get a group of business owners in a room. So that's just a timeline to think about.
Okay.
Yeah, and
as we're talking
that
about.
to me, that sounds almost impossible. I mean, it's a much quicker. We'll get much more production if it's just, even if it's me and someone else, and
Right.
we meet with Chris,
right.
every Monday for a half an hour or whatever it
Right.
takes, just to kind of get some traction. Because as you watch all these various town, with the budget issues that the town is confronting now and will be in the future,
Right.
that a lot of people are picking up on the, the talking point of new growth.
Right.
And, that's a very, very important aspect of the EDC, as well as the planning board, is
Right.
try to, assist and grow the current small businesses, but also to attract new ones. And,
Right.
to what we're speaking of in terms of fostering a relationship between these current and future, is that we have to streamline the process and be more welcoming. And I think we can do that, streamlined, as opposed to, like Josie said, trying to get business together when they're busy anyway.
Right.
We want them to know that we're here on their behalf, and we'll do it for them and report back to them with the progress we're making.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So then initially just a small meeting with them to kind of kick it off and kind of pool ideas and start the conversation. So what's your availability, Glenn? Do you during the afternoons?
Yeah, I'm very flexible. In fact, a
Okay.
few times I've crossed paths with Josie in the smokestack coffee roasters.
Okay.
And, to Josie, any time that you want to meet up, or with even with somebody that could provide some, perspective for me, it would be helpful, because there's a lot for me to learn, and the more I get a feel for it, the more assistance I certainly can provide.
Josie, what's your availability? Is afternoon still okay? Or I think
Am I muted? Can you hear me again?
I can hear you.
It is so complicated. Okay. Hildy is typically in school from 9:30 to 2:30. So
Okay.
if anything can fall that, I can focus a lot better.
Okay.
And then beyond that, I can be pretty flexible as long as I have a week's notice.
Okay. So week's notice. Okay. All right. Well, why don't I do this? And Jean, you're there at work till 6, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I think Anna said, and Mary Ray, you want to be involved in the meeting?
Don't schedule
Yep.
for or around me, but if I can attend, I will definitely attend.
Okay. And I think Anna before had said late afternoon was better.
And
So,
I can sometimes escape, if
okay.
it's later afternoon. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let me try to set something up with them for a later afternoon time. And so we can initially get this conversation going. Because like you said, it probably will take time to try to develop exactly what needs to be put forth. And just, I keep thinking fall town meeting timeline for that warrant, because we missed out on spring.
I have
And it,
Question about just logistics with the with meetings. Are we? Is it gonna kind of just look like scheduling one-on-ones with each other soon, so that we don't have to run into committee quorum and everything, or are we trying to get a joint meeting together?
Well, and I think it goes back to what can we do logistically that is permissible. So let me check on the validity of that, because would it be construed a meeting with all of us meeting with them? Do you know what I mean? I'm not entirely certain. If the
Well, I'd like to
boundaries.
throw it out there that my office is right across from the Ritter building and 3 Lancaster, which is just renovated,
Okay.
just right
Oh,
across.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm available to open that up at any point. So
Okay.
that just eliminates access to the Ritter building.
Okay.
So just to make it whoever. And
Okay.
then I'm also open to having one-on-ones to talk about some of the things that I've learned from local businesses and trying to open.
Okay.
I'm very flexible as long as I have a week's notice.
Okay.
But I'm gonna now, and if there's anything else, Kathy, please message me. And,
Okay. Will do. Thank you, Josie.
all right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so tomorrow I will reach out to them and see what we can get set up to start the conversation. Any other thoughts or comments from anybody?
I think it's great.
Yeah,
Sounds
sounds
good.
good.
Okay. All right. Public comment. Anybody?
I don't think I've got anything.
No. One thing I have to say, open for business. I don't know if anybody's caught that on cable.
My mom
I-
did, and she texted me about it. 'Cause
Oh,
I
good.
didn't tell her about it, so she was pretty surprised. It was
Oh,
funny.
good. That was a great episode when you
It
were
was.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I think it was done well. He did a second episode and just had 2 businesses, but he's getting ready to do a third. So hopefully there'll be a string of businesses that he'll be able to film. We've talked about a number of different businesses. It's funny because, there's businesses that I feel like are hidden, of course, particularly at the Village. We have Vanity Key, which is down on the ground floor that many people aren't aware of. And what was the other one he was telling me? Oh, he was also trying to film White Thai Cuisine, which I'd like to see that place filmed. Those people are so nice, and they were so very generous for the town meet and greet too.
Yeah.
So I think that it would be good to see them, get their time on there too. But he had a couple of people he was reaching out to. So hopefully that'll be, out there pretty soon. I think this past time he had Sealy's and he had RC Motors. So it was just a short, quick one, but it still nonetheless keeps the flow of it going. So it's good to see. Ember's updates and comments. I'm just going to give you guys, I keep saying, I'm going to format an overview of all these different places, but then I want to get a hold of a couple of people to find out different updates. So I did my best this afternoon, trying to rush to get a hold of a couple of people. I will tell you the Ember's location, the person that is opening the restaurant there, he's still doing renovations. It's about 4 months out. Spoke with him today. I think it's going to be a fabulous spot. He's really a well-known, renowned chef. And I think once it gets underway and open, it will do really well. But he's carefully, planning everything out there, and hopeful 4 months from now brings it up to about summer, April, May, June, July. So fingers crossed on that. I did call
Ended up in a
Ruby's
meeting.
Donuts today in Air, because I had stopped and spoken with the gentleman who was renovating Stella's, who had bought the Stella's building. And he was doing a lot of renovations. At the time I stopped in, he had the floor ripped up. And, he hasn't always been there at the building because, of course, they're trying to run their business at the same time. So I wasn't able to speak with him today, but I spoke with I guess it was his nephew. And he told me I needed to speak directly with the uncle. So I'm hoping if any of you guys see a car there, stop in, talk to him, see if you can catch him. I will try to stop into Ruby's over in Air when I get an opportunity, see if I can catch him there. But keep your eyes peeled if you happen to see anybody there. Conrad's, I had spoken to the new town manager and to Chris about saying that I think it's really important that we try to start a discussion if the one hasn't ensued, knowing they're both new, that I think it's important to get conversations going over what the issues are and seeing them open. I did hear from a friend just before we came on tonight that they had spoken to someone who was the manager and said it will be opening. There's just several things to get through first. So still hopeful for Conrad's. The Simon Pure building had a commercial broker sign up, and I went by to capture the name. I think it was Commonwealth Properties, but the sign is now gone. So I'm not sure where things stand with that. And then I spoke with Todd Alexander today, who's a broker from Keller Sadowski out of Boston and Worcester. And he and I previously spoke. He had the Dollar Tree space for rent. And he texted me later today and said that he no longer has that listing. And as we know, now there are 3 vacancies there. There's Dollar Tree, there's Dario's, and I think it's Whalum Dental. So I'm going to see if anybody has spoken with them at all. Over by Walmart, we have the Verizon space, and I'm not sure who the management company is in there. I don't think it's Geronimo Properties, but I'm going to look further at that space. The Kebabalicious building, I had spoken with Nick. I don't know if any of you guys remember Nick, who used to own Village Pizza before Bad Larry's. He actually bought the Kebabalicious building and was looking to rent it out. And I think he actually did rent it, but I have yet to catch up with him. The for rent sign is gone. I did speak with him initially. He contemplated opening there a second location. He has a pizza place in Ashburnham right now. So I'm going to see what I can find out on that as well. And I think that's it for businesses. I had spoken with Mike at El Forno before too, and I know he's looking at expanding, and I think he's had conversations with the building inspector about that. Well, he has expanded, but over the parking lot across the street, he's had some issues. So I think that's being worked on too. So, and that's all I have. Anybody have any thoughts, comments? No? Quiet, can you hear me?
Well, that was a great update. Crazy to think of all the places that.
Yeah, I just kind of focused on what's empty. What's empty that we want to see filled. You know what I mean? So, and well, and here's another update. The bank building will be in MLS. I just had that filmed, and yeah, and the hope is still that another bank will want to go in there. A conversation has ensued with one particular bank, so I'm sending over the pictures, and I hope to be meeting someone over there soon. So fingers crossed. I think Lunenburg, frankly, really needs a bank right there. Yeah. So that's the story with that. And we, of course, do have one vacancy too at the Village where Elena's Gourmet was. So it would be nice to see that get filled as well. And Philip, I think, has someone in mind for that. So we shall see. So that's it for the moment. And has anybody been to the new business on 2A? I think it's, oh, what's the name of it? Sky Treasures. It's where Hearts and Hands once was, right near the Jack's store.
I haven't been there yet, but I've been seeing a lot
Okay.
on Facebook, people sharing their stuff and everything.
Yeah, I keep meaning to get down there and just pop in and say hello. And I thought, looking back, and I've gone back and reread what the planning board put out to us, which we didn't have originally, that, what our mission is, and it's about promoting business. And I thought, what else can we do to promote business? The chamber will do ribbon cutting and things of that nature, but could we do something like a ribbon cutting for businesses within Lunenburg that are new that open? I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, I think, showing them a sense of community and support would be really a good thing. And the Ledger would support it too. They'd put it in the paper. So maybe that's something we can talk about when we have everybody together at our next meeting. Just a thought. Anybody else have any thoughts, comments, ideas? None? Well, seeing none, I don't have any other comments with that. Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Kathy, I didn't get your email of the meeting minutes.
Oh, okay.
Not that it matters now, but just for this month.
Okay, thank you. I will go back and check that then. Thank you for that, Mary Ray. I will check that right as soon as we get off. Okay.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:40 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Great. Okay. Roll call. Jean?
What do you need on this one?
Aye.
Yes, I.
Yes. I always forget that, Jean. This is why Ann is better at running the meetings than I. Mary Ray?
Aye.
Okay. Glenn, you're still a member. You're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
But I mean, my vote doesn't count, but I certainly support it with an aye.
Okay, thank you. An aye for myself. All right.
All right.
Next
So voted.
meeting, the last Thursday of April, but in the interim, I will email everyone after speaking with Chris and the town manager about a small meeting with them about the topic on the bylaw and the businesses.
Okay.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you
Good
all.
night, all.
Okay.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye-bye.